Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. It's time for another Jonnychipz Weekly. My name is John Lunn, aka Jonnychipz, and this is episode number 82 on Friday the 22nd of July 2022. It's been a while. Let's get on with it. So yes, it's Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you had a fantastic week in work or whatever you've been up to this week. It's certainly holiday season. Starting to see a lot of people go off on holiday, take some of that much needed time away, going somewhere sun, sea and sand, or doing some bit of a touristy holiday somewhere. So anyway, whatever you've got planned for the summer, hope it's good, and you're looking forward to it. But for now, similar format this week again. Let's get on with it. We'll jump straight on in. Let's do some community call-outs. So first up, just wanted to call out the MST community. They just retweeted this Microsoft Learn module all around Azure Percept and how we can kind of understand how to build these edge AI solutions using the Azure Percept dev kit. So if you've not seen that, I really suggest you take a look at it. We'll talk about all things like the Azure Percept Studio, how you can actually build these AI models and load them onto camera devices or audio devices to do some object detection and sound recognition, things like that. Great Learn module. Just wanted to call out the retweet from the MST community. Go and give them a follow. They're doing some great things across the Twitters at the moment as well. So sticking with the IoT theme, also wanted to call out this this great kind of infographic from David Holm, really around IoT attacks and kind of things that you needed to know. And it kind of builds into that whole security play with the rise of IoT edge devices, IoT devices themselves. I think there was a figure stated of around 9 to 10 billion devices globally at the moment in terms of IoT. And I don't know, I think that number is probably underestimated as well. I'm not too sure how you can count the number of items when I look around me, I've got probably at least 50 in this room alone, and you kind of multiply that up by the number of people on the planet. I don't know. Anyway, there's lots of devices. So the point is, there's a huge footprint for attack, especially if you're going to use them on your home networks or even in business or enterprise networks. You've got all of these things to consider. Now, of course, security is nothing new. It's been around for a long time. Security in depth and the principles that kind of stand behind how do you protect yourself or mitigate the risks of any attack. Like I say, David just posted this really kind of useful infographic, just kind of with the pointers around what is IoT, what is the problem with these IoT devices, and how do breaches happen in that sense of the word. And even question things like, do you need these devices on your network? And arguably the case for more and more IoT type devices on networks is going to become more and more and a lot more difficult to kind of move away from. So talks about what the problem is with that. How do we kind of start to mitigate against those risks? So go and take a look at that. It's there's a short link there, but go and follow Cloud Preacher on Twitter. That's David Holm. He's putting out some great infographics and great little articles like this to kind of get you thinking about what it is that you need to be thinking about in terms of things like security and other elements like that. So yeah, thanks, David. Right, next up, big shout out to Come Cloud with us. So the guys, Chris and Abdul, I've got another session organised on the 18th of August, so bookmark the dates, 7 p.m. Eastern US time, and it's with Belinda Allen. She's coming on. She's going to be talking about Power BI. Like I say, there's a lot of overlap between what we do with Azure as a platform in terms of storing, collecting, even analysing data to a certain extent with all the plethora of tools. Now, Power BI is, for those that aren't familiar with the Power Suite, the Power Platform, Power BI is one of the components that you can use for kind of reporting and presenting data. So really good session coming up on the 18th of August from Belinda. So not your daddy's cash flow statement using Power BI. So seems that Belinda's got a theme around her talk there. So go and bookmark the dates. Go and show the guys at Come Cloud With Us some support. Go and follow them on Twitter. Come Cloud With Us on Twitters. And yeah, make sure you watch that one. Next up, Mr. Shabazz Dar. He's back on his book review series. So I think he's on episode number 5 or 6 now. This is a book that was written by Nate Chamberlain and Peter Rising. It's all on the MS 700, so that managing the Microsoft Teams exam. And Shabazz has been doing a great job, really, walking through book reviews, talking about some of these great authors, around the community. I'm surprised I know so many of the Packet authors. It's great to see them doing some fantastic work. And to Shabazz doing a great job there, kind of promoting and shouting out some of these books and kind of giving you a little bit of a deep dive. So, look, if you are looking to study for one of the exams, go and check out Shabazz's channel. Now, like I say, he's starting to build up a bit of a collection on the books and kind of talks you around what you can expect with the books and things like that. So, big shout out to Shabazz, and yeah, go and check that out. Yeah, this is a great article. Rick Claus retweeted this out the other day. It's a blog written by Pierre, and basically it's all around using Bastion to access your on-premise resources, which is a great little article. I mean, if I click on this, so Pierre Roman is one of the advocates working in Rick Claus's team at Microsoft, and he's been doing some upgrades on his home network recently, in the sense that he's got some new kit in there, and he's built up some servers. He's got some infrastructure on his home network, and in this article he kind of goes into how we can use the Azure Bastion service within Azure to actually access, we use it as a remote access Bastion, so we can actually start to access our on-premise resources. And he talks us all through how we set up the remote Bastion in Azure, what modifications might we need in terms of ports and IPs or subnets opened up across our firewalls, and how we create that VPN essentially, and then so on and so forth, right the way through to showing that actually once all of that is in place and configured, you can access your on-prem resources. So really good idea there, because if you think about it, you want to get access to your home machine in a secure way. You can use the Bastion service to access your on-prem resources. So really cool to see. So thank you for that, Pierre. Next up, some great heads up here. If you're not already on the pulse with some of the key end of support dates, Jeff Woolsey tweeted this out the other day. Just some really close end of support dates in case you hadn't realized. I'm sure you're on top of it. But things like SQL Server 2012 SP4 is going out of support this month. Exchange Server, you've not got too long left on Exchange Server 2013. Same with SharePoint Server 2013, April 23, they go out of support. And things like BizTalk Server and, of course, Windows Server 2012 and 2012 R2 got out of support next year. So, look, some of these things, if you are running those services or servers on your infrastructure, undoubtedly you're aware of the impending out of support date. I'm not sure if they're the enhanced extended supports. They're probably, I don't know, they feel like they're probably the end of support date. So you can some instances pay for extended support, or there is an extended support date that you can kind of hook into. But look, you should probably really be thinking about upgrading or moving your platforms on if you can. So just wanted to call out some of those dates. Go and follow Jeff Woolsey. He's one of the principal program managers over in Microsoft. He's always tweeting out some great information. So go and check that out. Next up, Tim Warner. Again, yeah, Tim is forever doing some fantastic content and putting things out across community to help us all learn and understand and develop and move forward with some of the cloud technologies. No more than this great post. So he's created a Visio flowchart to try and understand Azure policy a little bit. I can't zoom in too much on here, but go and check that out. But it's really around, how do we make, that decision between when do I use a built-in policy versus when might I want to use a custom policy. When might you want to use initiatives, so bundle policies together as opposed to just assigning single policies to a subscription or a management group. Kind of talks us through all the different stages and the considerations that we might want to give, to help us understand that whole flow around Azure policy. So, yeah, huge thanks to Tim for that. Go and check that out, Tech Trainer Tim on Twitter, and go and give that a follow. Thank you, Tim. And finally, just wanted to give a shout out to my good friend, Mr. Roper. Congratulations, Jack. Been doing some fantastic things on his blog. If you're not following Jack's blog, he's up to 600 followers, which is phenomenal. JackWesleyRoper.medium.com. Jack tweets all things infrastructure as code, Terraform, cloud engineering, some great content on there. So highly suggest that you go and check Jack's blog out if you're in that cloud engineering space and you want some great articles. But there we go. That's it for now. Let's head back on over. Okie dokie. So without further ado, let's jump straight on in. We had our Welsh Azure user group meetup this week, which was fantastic. Let me talk to you a little bit about it. So yes, we had our meetup this week on Wednesday, so 2 days ago, and it was an awesome meetup again. Really pleased how the meetups are going. Numbers have dropped slightly, I think, into the summer months because of work commitments, getting back to normality, and of course holidays. So it's great, but nonetheless, the Welsh Shore User Group will continue to keep going and going and going as long as we can. Hopefully, we're going to get back to that elusive hybrid meetup, so that face-to-face meetup, and still keep the content online as well. So the office that we're looking to use in Cardiff has actually just gone through a bit of refurbishment, so we're getting that checked out at the moment, seeing if it's available to us fairly soon. If so, we'd be glad to see us getting back to a little bit of face-to-face. But this month was virtual. We had Audrey Mengui on and our very own Matthew Fatunka to talk about. We had a great conversation around GitHub Actions versus Azure DevOps Pipeline. So, kind of working out some of the pros and cons, the differences between them, which one might you choose, and, go and check out the video because it's a great discussion at the end of the session, really, where Audrey set us up with talking about some of the components and how, how she sees it and how these things fit together. And it kind of opened up quite a nice little discussion around how and when you should make specific decisions. So yeah, go and check that out. The video's in the YouTubes below. And of course, Matthew always does fantastic talks. So always great to hear them. But this one was on a bit of an introduction to Azure Container Apps with some great demos as well, and using Bicep, which was great. So go and check that out if you want to know a little bit more about Azure Container Apps and their use cases and kind of how to pull things together with them. Go and check out that replay. So, yeah, like I say, it was a great session, some great feedback. Huge thanks to the speakers. Our next session is going to be on August the 17th, so bookmark the date. Just waiting on one confirmation of a speaker to speak at that event before I can publish it formally on the meetup. So I'll get that up fairly soon. But for now, that was the Welsh Azure User Group. Cool. So motoring through this week. So we'll head straight back on over now. Do some on the side. What else have I been up to this week? So let's just jump in and have a look. So first up is huge thanks to Keith Atherton. For those of you that don't know Keith, go and follow Keith on the Twitters. He's a great guy in the community doing some fantastic work. He's a software developer and he's a really great guy as well. And we were talking a little while back around Unity with, kind of using Unity to develop these 2D or 3D worlds that I could use with, HoloLens or, your Quest 2, your VR headsets, to make those kind of augmented or mixed reality type of platforms. So Unity is effectively, it's a game engine. There's a few different game engines out there. Unity is a great one, and I was having a chat with Keith about it. He said, I can give you a bit of a run through. So it's a great opportunity to kind of create this schooled in video, how to get started and up and running with Unity. So huge thanks to Keith for coming on and showing me things like how do we get a world, get an environment stood up, how do we put some objects in that world and then assign some physics, so gravity and the like. So yeah, go and check that out. We released that this week, and yeah, it was a great little session. So thank you to Keith. Also, as it's Friday, big shout out to my guests last week on In Convo with. So Jeff Wooters, thanks so much for being an awesome guest. That conversation was a great one. Really good conversation, talking about a few things that aren't commonly talked about across communities. So go and check that out if you've not watched that episode. Really good insights and kind of perspective on things. With respect as well is I think the main point there. So yeah, go and check that out. But yeah, like I say, as it is Friday, it's time for another In Convo with tonight, and it's with none other than Jonah Anderson. So Jonah is a force of nature across the community. She runs the Azure Sweden user group. She's always out there doing some fantastic things across community and for the tech community in general. And she's a great person to have a chat with, a great personable character in the community. So huge thanks to Jonah for coming on and doing this In Convo with me. That will be released tonight, 6:30 p.m. BST. So please do be sure to join us. Say hello, jump in on the comments, ask your questions, give us your feedback as usual. It's all appreciated. So yeah, really looking forward to that episode going out tonight. And yeah, thank you, Jonah, for being a great guest. So tune in tonight to see that. Finally, the last thing I just wanted to call out is we're up to now episode 7 on our When Ops Meets Dev platform, and I've just seen that I've got a little bit of a little glitch there on my camera, which I've just sorted. But yeah, it's episode 7 is it's due. We're going to be live streaming on the 5th of August. We do this twice a month, and it's really getting some great feedback at the moment and picking up with the amount of people coming on to watch and kind of interact with it. Because look, myself, Robbie and Swami, we have a bit of a get-together once a week, half-hour catch-up where we kind of talk about Robbie and Swami, amazing software developers, unbelievably talented software developers. And we kind of have that chat around software dev, operationals, building this cloud-native e-commerce solution. But really, we're looking at all the different aspects that might go into that, right the way from, software engineering, software architecture, microservices architecture, and how do we build multiple APIs, how do we build them into containers and bring them together, right the way from that level through to how do we test, how do we play with these things locally using things like Docker Desktop and the like, and how do we secure them up, how do we push those out to larger platforms like Azure Container Instances or Azure Container Apps or even Kubernetes clusters, using kind of Azure Kubernetes services. So we're really going right the way through, and at the moment we're kind of in the middle. We had to we had to stop. We had a lot more content on week before last episode, around infrastructure as code. So we're really looking at deploying infrastructure using ARM, using PowerShell, using Azure CLI, just going through all those different mechanisms and capabilities. And so we're at the point now of actually showing that with Terraform, and then we're going to move into how do we then maybe build that into a bit of a build pipeline in terms of CI/CD, or even using GitHub Actions. So we're really looking at all the different options available to us and kind of navigating them and talking about them and having a little bit of a demo around each thing. So yeah, we've got a great episode coming up on the 5th of August. So if you are interested, please do bookmark, go over to the Meetup page and go and RSVP. Episode 7, it's great, and like I say, it's going through the ceiling at the moment. So thank you for everybody sticking around and watching us on that one. Right, there we go. Let's now finish off this week's show with some Azure news and updates, as per usual. Let's get on with it. Okie dokie, good afternoon. Let's get on with the Azure news and updates for this week. We've had a few. I've had to cut a few out because literally I think we had about 50 different updates this week. So there are lots of things around SQL and data services preview function, public preview announcements. So I tried to pick the ones I think are more relevant to where I sit with the Azure community at the moment. So let's start things off then. So Microsoft have made some investments in responsible AI and put some safeguardings in place for facial recognition. Purely because if you don't know about responsible AI, clearly when you build an AI model, there's always the opportunity that you can build in bias without even realizing it into the model. So Microsoft are committed to trying to mitigate that as best that they can as well. So things like building in responsible AI and safeguards for facial recognition, they got a few points here that they talk about: limited access, feature retirements in Face API, and the migration of the Face API out of the North Central US region. But the point is the limited access, things like actually using the Face API and identify and verify features only, and then computer vision celebrity recognition feature only. What they're trying to do is they've got this limited, or you've got to use this specific license, which is going to be updated, which has been updated actually this month. So you've got to register and you've got to receive an approval for access to these specific services. Like I say, the Face API, computer vision, video indexer, the neural voice, the pro features of neural voice, and any feature of the speaker recognition. They're not available anymore without prior registration. So it's just trying to make sure that they're not being used in a way that obviously is going against the grain, or going against the ethics, and being responsible, essentially responsible AI. It's good to see. Next up, a GA announcement: virtual machine restore points is now GA. So when you're looking to build those highly available, continuously available, and DR type solutions, VM restore points are used to capture app consistent and crash consistent backups natively on the Azure platform, and they can be used to restore disks and VMs in any kind of disaster recovery scenario. So that's great to see. That's now GA. Azure Database for MySQL Flexible Server on-demand backups. So that on-demand backups now is GA. It'll allow you to initiate a backup of your Azure Database for MySQL Flexible Server and store it somewhere, along with the automated backups. The service providers, it'll automatically back up the service providers as well, in alignment with our server's backup retention policy. You can store the backups as the fastest restore point when performing a point-in-time restore, which can reduce restore times by up to 90%. Cool. Premium series hardware for Azure SQL Managed Instance is now available, generally available. It's based on 3rd Gen Intel Xeon scalable processors, codename Ice Lake. It provides your SQL instances with faster compute and memory performance, as well as improved I/O and network experience over the standard series Generation 5 hardware offering. You can now migrate more of your mission-critical resource-intensive applications to Azure SQL Managed Instance and enjoy the benefits of the fully managed database service in the cloud. GA, Azure Confidential Ledger. So it provides a managed and decentralized ledger for data entries, building on the open source blockchain-based framework and confidential compute infrastructure. The tamper-proof audit log helps ensure data integrity by preventing unauthorized or accidental modification. Generally available, Azure Signal R service has got a premium tier, so that premium tier is now generally available, and it provides, as you might expect, greater resiliency, scalability, and flexibility by enabling key features such as 99.95 availability. There's availability zone support, there's auto-scale capabilities, and custom domain supports now as well on that premium tier. Great to see. More GA announcements. Azure Event Grid partner events. So partner events is an Azure Event Grid feature that allows external systems, which are typically SaaS providers and platforms, to publish events so that your applications can subscribe to them. This way, your solutions can react to events that originate in non-Azure services and implement architectures across network boundaries. So that's great to see. So those SaaS partner services now They can raise events in the Azure event grid, and they can be consumed in your applications or flows to do something else. Great to see. Next up, we've got public preview .NET 7 supports for Azure Functions in isolated process model. We have more generally available bring your own CNI plugins, so container network interface plugins. AKS now supports deploying clusters with no pre-configured CNI plugin. This facilitates use of almost any CNI plugin, whether open source or commercial, which allows you to maintain the same CNI across clusters, both in and out of Azure, or utilize features from other plugins to enable specific configurations that you may require. Good to see. More GA announcements. Azure Function support for PowerShell 7.2 is now available. API Server VNet integration has gone into public preview. And we've got some Azure load testing. Now displays the load engine health metrics is in public preview now. So when you're doing that load testing with the preview service, it gives out information on load engine health. In addition to the health metrics of the system under test, the health metrics of the load engines, the infrastructure delivering that test traffic displayed as well, which is cool to see. Generally available tag filtering in Azure Advisor. So, Azure Advisor, you'll get your recommendations scoped to a specific business unit, workload, or team, and filter recommendations and calculated scores using tags that you've already created to and assigned to your Azure resources or resource groups and subscriptions. You can also use tag filters to identify cost-saving opportunities by business units and optimize critical workloads by comparing the scores. Cool. Public preview Azure Stack HCI version 22H2 is out at the moment in the preview channel. We've got more public preview Arc-enabled guest VMs with extensions for Azure Stack HCI, remote support for Arc-enabled Azure Stack HCI, and Azure Marketplace for Azure Stack HCI Arc-enabled servers. Generally available CI/CD guidance is out there for Azure IoT Central now as well. So if you're building that IoT Central application, there's some guidance out there about integrating Azure IoT Central into Azure pipelines for CI/CD. Brilliant. More public preview Azure Monitor for SAP solutions. Generally available Azure Confidential VMs, the DCAS v5 and ECAS v5 series of VM are now generally available. They're confidential VMs using 3rd gen AMD EPYC processors with secure encrypted virtualization, secure nested paging, SEV-SNP security features. Say that when you've had a couple. Anyway, that's out, generally available. If that's what you need, you've got it. More generally available live resize for premium SSD and standard SSD disk storage, which is cool to see. So when you resize disk on Azure, it can provide increased storage capacity and better performance for your applications, absolutely. And as part of Microsoft's commitment to continuously adding new capabilities to their Azure Disk Storage portfolio, live resize for premium SSD and standard SSD disk storage is now generally available. So with live resize, you can dynamically increase the storage capacity of your premium and standard SSD disks without causing any disruption to your applications. To reduce your costs, you can start with smaller disks and gradually increase as you need it without experiencing any downtime. So that's pretty cool. That's a good feature. And finally, generally available NVADS A10v5 virtual machines. Yeah, great. They're available in West Europe, South Central US, and West US regions. I'm just trying to see. These NV is for graphics, video, and AI workloads. So they've got the NVIDIA A10 Tensor Core GPUs and up to 72 AMD EPYC V virtual CPUs, and are designed to offer the right choice for any workload for the optimum configurations for both the single user and multi-session environments. So yeah, for all of those kind of high processor intensive services, you've got those VMs now generally available. So there we go. That's been our Azure news and updates for this week. Whistle stop tour. Let's head back on over. So there we go. Thanks everybody for tuning in this week. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Like I say, please do give me some feedback. Let me know how you find these episodes. I'm on episode number 82. I keep saying to change things up. So yeah, it's coming very soon. But for now, hopefully we'll see you later on in Convo with. If not, we'll see you next week. I've been John Lunn. Catch you all soon. Have a great weekend, everyone.